Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our second session on our SD Elective II. So for today, we'll review some topics that we have from the previous semester in SD Elective I. So as you can see on my screen, we discussed about physical computing with the Raspberry Pi 3. So if you still remember, I discussed to you about the electronic circuits. Then we do physical computing with Python, and then supposedly we should have covered the introduction on the Internet of Things. So with that, I discussed to you about these things, about electronic circuits, and then the relationship between voltage, current, and resistance, and then this figure to illustrate how the three terms relate with each other, and another illustration on how to relate voltage, current, and resistance. This is Ohm's law, which will define the relationship also between the three. This is the circuit diagram. You still remember, and then the power source. This is the resistor with its color coding. So, so this lady here he used the resistor as an earrings. And also we touch on the LEDs, light emitting diodes. So I also introduced you about the switch, breadboard, then the wire jumpers, and here is an example of a simple LED circuit. Then for this one, it shows us that the Raspberry Pi 3 has GPIO pins, and each pins has designated assignments. Some of them for power, like the 3 volts and the 5 volts, and there's also the ground, and then other pins where we can also use in our um, programming. So for the first activity last time, I let you just light up an LED using the 5 volt and the ground pin of the Raspberry Pi 3. And then I showed you this price listing so that you should have an idea the prices. And then we move on to the part where we do physical computing with Python. So ideally, physical computing is we create or use the device that interact with the world around them. And then for our purpose, we've been using the Raspberry Pi 3. And then I also introduced to you the GPIO 0 library, which we use to interface the GPIO devices um, for the Raspberry Pi. Here is a sample code in blinking an LED. Then also um, this part explains the different way we set the pin numbering of the GPIO pins. Then so for this one, we did an activity or sample activity to control an LED using the GPIO 17 pin and the ground, and then we use this code to control it, which basically it will just turn it on and then turn it off. And for this one, we also did another activity, or an exercise where you just have to turn it on and off 10 times. So I think you can still remember this activity. And then on the second activity is that we try to increase, or let's say increase the blinking speed. So from 1 second until eventually it will blink faster. And then this is how we implement it using the PWM LED interface. So we can set value in terms of a number like 0 to turn it off, 0.5 for half brightness, and 1 for full brightness. And then same thing, the same circuit. So and then I give you this exercise. And then for this third activity, I let you implement a code where you will try to increase and then decrease the brightness. So and I think that's where we stopped last time. Now you could still the problem is that it will be hard for you, especially those who are at home, to for you to continue this activity, especially that you don't have the Raspberry Pi and you don't have some materials. So for that purpose, I will introduce to you a next topic which will be using for our succeeding activities.